Hello friends, welcome to the biology class. Today our discussion will be on a very simple chapter, that is transport of O2 and CO2. We all know that oxygen and carbon dioxide are being transported from the lungs to the entire body, and it is because of the difference in partial pressure. But we do not know that there are some other factors responsible for this diffusion process. So we will not go into the detail. We will go that there are alveoli. Simple. Now I am starting from lung, I am starting from alveoli. In the alveolar air, that is atmospheric air comes inside. In the alveolar air, there is oxygen and this oxygen exerts some pressure. We call it in the form of PO2. Here PO2 is 104 mm of Hg. Clear? And here partial pressure of carbon dioxide CO2 is 40 millimeter of mercury. This much we know, that in the alveolar air, this is the pressure of oxygen, this is the partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Now, over the alveoli, we also know that there is capillaries. So, there are capillaries over this alveolar membrane. And these capillaries, we can say, these are all pulmonary capillaries, you can say. These are alveolar capillaries, you can say. These you can say also alveolo capillaries also. So within these capillaries, the blood comes. So where from this blood comes and exchanges takes place. So this comes actually from heart. From the heart. From the heart, this blood comes. Heart will not go exact heart or food chamber. So this heart carries this oxygen. So here the difficulties is that it forms a capillaries and capillaries unite to form a vein. This vein we know, this vein is known as pulmonary vein. This vein is known as pulmonary vein. It comes from the lungs and fully loaded with oxygen. So I am writing it in red. So this oxygenated come here, oxygenated blood goes out of here. This oxygenated blood goes out of here to different tissues or cell for respiration. This oxygen is coming through pulmonary vein. Somewhere it has been skimmed and they are seeing the arterial pressure. These are all artery. These are all artery. This artery forms a network over the each and every cell of the tissue. This much we know. So Whenever they form a network here, they gives out oxygen is going out, and the oxidation of foodstuff produces carbon dioxide. See, carbon dioxide enters into the venules, then veins. So carbon dioxide exchange takes place, and it goes through the inferior vena cava, and from the above the superior vena cava, these jointly enters into the, what should I call, heart. So in case of transport of O2 and CO2, in every case, heart is nothing but a pumping station. So it pumps the carbon dioxide rich blood. This goes here and this goes here. Clear? So this carbon dioxide rich blood forms capillaries over the alveolus. These are rich in CO2. This CO2 rich blood forms a capillary network over this CO2 rich blood. I have not said that it doesn't contain oxygen. And they unite to form these capillaries, and ultimately they mix up here. Okay. We all know that whatever pipes are going from the heart to the distal parts are known as artery. So this is an artery, this is also an artery. So this will be called as pulmonary artery. It is going to the pulmonary section, so it is called pulmonary artery, and this is pulmonary vein. So in case of this, you can skip this. You can simply say the blood reached in carbon dioxide reaches the alveolar and forms a network of the alveoli, and they, here what happens, PO2 pressure is 104, and here the pressure of oxygen is less. It is 40. So PO2 comes in, and here it is 40, here PO2 is 46. PCO2 is 46. So from higher concentration to lower concentration, it passes. This much we know. So this is 40 and this is 104. It remains, it becomes 100. Later on it becomes 100. How will come? Sometimes afterwards. And here PO2 is 40. Partial pressure. This much it is known to us. But what is not known to us, that we will discuss a little bit. What is that? In the alveolar air, that is the atmospheric air which comes through the trachea, bronchus, bronchioles, and in the alveoli. So after coming here, the gas mixed with the blood, with the air, which remains as a residual volume, because any place in the world can never be empty. So even if after forceful expiration there remains some air inside the alveoli, inside the bronchioles, inside the bronchus, inside the trachea, these are called residual volume, and in those places are dead space. We know all this. Now this alveolar air contains some fluid part. It remains moist. The alveolar air remains moist. So it remains moist because some liquid portion is also there, because this is also moist, this is also moist. So the diffusion takes place very easily. This moist alveolar air contains some water. Water gets mixed here, but for the purpose of study, we are saying that this is the same moist part. This is the liquid part of the alveolar air. Although it does not remain in this way, it will remain admixed with the atmospheric air. So here in the liquid portion, some oxygen and CO2 both remains dissolved. CO2 and O2 remains dissolved. Here, now here you see the PO2 is 100 mg, and here the PO2 is what? Here PCO2 is 40, here PCO2 is what? It gets mixed. So the first point we should know that the CO2 and O2 partial pressure will be in equilibrium with that of the alveolar air. Number one point which we did not know, that we write diffusion. Diffusion we know it is a movement of any substance from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. From an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. This is the movement of gases or any substance. So from the higher concentration, it will go to lower concentration, and here also from this higher concentration, this will move to lower concentration. But what about this? Because it gets mixed with this CO2 and O2. So this should also be in equilibrium with that of the alveolar air. So we'll write gases right here, gases dissolved in alveolar fluid remains in equilibrium with that of the alveolar. So until and unless this remains in equilibrium, so some O2 will go on mixing like this, and CO2 will go on mixing like this. So there should not be proper diffusion of gases from the alveoli to the pulmonary capillaries. And the reverse is true for PCO2 and PCO2 here also. So this is the number one point we should remember prior entering into the subject of transport of O2 and CO2. This is the first point. Just you mention 2 or 3 points that will help you for the examiner to estimate, to understand that you have gone through the subject improperly. Now, here also, here the pulmonary capillaries are there. In the pulmonary capillaries, RBC, WBC, platelets, and plasma is also there. So within the plasma, during my classes in WBC, RBC and composition of blood, you can go through. There you will see that this is a drop of blood. Here RBCs are there, WBCs are there, and platelets or thrombocytes are there. they remain within the plasma. Plasma is 55%, and I told there that this is the hematocrit value. So in the plasma, there are some water. So in the plasma, for the purpose of study, I am drawing the plasma in E. Otherwise, it remains mixed. So this is the plasma. In the plasma, some O2 and CO2 remains in dissolved form. We will come that way how this O2 and CO2 are being transported in the form of this. I will say this is in the form of physical solution. So in the form of physical solution, this O2 and CO2 remains dissolved and they exert tension. They exert tension inside. So it remains inflated. So number 2 point you will write, gases in the pulmonary capillaries also remains dissolved. You can write respiratory gases, no matter. So gases in the pulmonary capillaries also remain dissolved within the plasma. Alright, in the plasma, in the form of physical solution. Number 2 point, physical solution, and which exerts tension. So it exerts some tension over this. Now this is the second point I have come across. Before going into the chapter of transport of an O2 and CO2, this is diffusion. How diffusion takes place. So it remains in the tense form which help in diffusion, which will come in the next point. And the third point we will say this is the what is this? This is pulmonary capillaries. The capillary walls. This is the wall of the capillary. The capillary wall remains here in the form of network. So these capillaries have a wall. So this wall is thick. This wall is thick or thin, is 0.5 minutely 0.5 millimeter. Millimeter is 1000 parts of a millimeter. So it is very thin. It is so thin that it remains like this. It is so thin. It is so thin. So this thin membrane, this thin pulmonary capillaries membrane, which forms a network over the alveolus, is 0.5 millimeter, which help in transportation or diffusion of respiratory gases. Clear? Now, in the third point, we will write the thickness of the wall of pulmonary capillaries is 0.5 millimeter, which also accelerates diffusion. Clear? Another point is very, very important. Please mind it. This is touching the wall of the alveoli. This portion is on the other side. This portion is touching the alveoli. This I am making it a bigger one. This is alveoli. This is pulmonary capillaries, and I am writing it alveoli in red. This is alveoli. This alveoli contains atmospheric air. So this point, the touching point, this touching point over the capillaries of an human adult is how much? You know, the surface area of the pulmonary capillaries which remains over the alveoli of an adult is 70 square meters. How much? So this area, this has been calculated of an adult, that this area, if you spread it, it is huge, 70 square meters. It's a large area. So over a large area, this thin capillaries forms a network, and over a large area, the blood will go. No, sorry, the oxygen or CO2 will be diffused, go in and out. So in this large area, at any point of time, not inspiration, expiration, right, at any point of time, the lungs contains 150 ml of blood. What does it mean? That is, I am giving 150 ml of blood over an area of 70 square meter. So it is evenly, it is a thin layer I am spreading over the 70 square meter area, and the amount is 150 m. So that this exactly whatever is there, carbon dioxide inside it, it gets out, and it gets the chance of taking in oxygen in this large surface area. In our earlier days, we have seen that our mother used to spread some cereals or like that in a thin cloth. In a thin cloth, I have seen my mother that some cereals which get contaminated by some termites or something like that, or bugs. So she used to spread it in a thin layer. In a thin layer, she used to spread it and keep it in the sun, so that in the sun all the termites and others, they goes out and it gets the proper sunlight. Otherwise, if you could have given in this way heat, so sunlight will fall here and the termites or they will come inside. So it is spread over an area of 70 square meter, which helps in, and at a given point of time, any point of time, any moment, the lungs contains 150 ml of blood, which spread over a larger area, and the proper diffusion takes place. And then last point, 4, 5 and 6. Number 6 is last point. This you should know, because only knowing that oxygen is oxyhemoglobin and carboxyhemoglobin, this is not enough for your classes. And the last one I would say that these diameter. The diameter of the pulmonary capillaries which covers the entire lungs is, very write it, 8, not 0.5, 8 mu meter. The diameter is 8 mu meter. This is the dia. So it is the dia and it is 8 mu meter. Mu meter is less than millimeter. 1 millimeter is, it is divided into 1000 and the eighth part of that. So it is so thin that you cannot measure it with the help of easy instrument. This has been measured that this thickness or the diameter is 8 mu meter. Why? Mainly in the plasma, CO2 and O2 remains dissolved and then comes into the lungs for exchange. A little bit percentage in the form of physical solution. Now, it is the RBC which brings the CO2 as well as O2 in the form of oxyhemoglobin and carboamine hemoglobin, which I am coming. So, this RBC flows through here. This entire network, the RBC flows. Whenever RBC flows, the outer wall of the RBC touches everywhere. RBC is like, it is big like this. So, whenever RBC passes through it, it touches the wall of this pulmonary capillaries. Let me give you an example. If you take banana, suppose you have taken one banana, you cut the banana into two pieces. You take the half of the piece and swallow it. Whenever you will swallow it, the entire banana will touch the esophagus, the entire esophagus of your alimentary canal. So the entire esophagus touches the banana. Likewise, the RBC, whenever RBC squeezes out from here, so it touches all the walls. What it happens? Why it is so? Why we are telling, we are writing this? Because there, suppose this is the wall, this is the thickness, and the RBC are here. RBC I am making it black, so that only the RBC passes here. So that only the RBC passes here. The RBC is by concave in shape, so that it can manipulate here its body. So whenever RBC passes, we know that the pulmonary capillary contains RBC not only, it contains WBC, platelets and plasma. So there will be little space, for plasma to stay here. There will not be any plasma here. Plasma will be here inside, in this side or that side, not in this place, because it touches the wall. So, whenever the CO2 oxygen is coming in, it avoids, it does not have to cross the barrier of plasma. It directly enters into the, it is this RBC. It directly enters into the RBC without crossing the barrier or without crossing the plasma. So it helps in accelerates the diffusion of oxygen from the alveolar air to the pulmonary capillaries, and the reverse, that is for the exit of the CO2 from the RBC directly to the pulmonary capillaries, which helps in diffusion. So these are the points we should remember, that this is not the only the from class 9, 10, 11, 12 we have studied that oxygen is oxyhemoglobin, carboxyhemoglobin, this and that, this and that. But that will come, that will go into the big detail of the surgery. Till then, this is the point we should remind before going into the proper chapter of transport of O2 and CO2. That will come in the next episode. Till then, take rest. Thank you very much. And please do subscribe and share.